The way she folded the napkin, the careful, deliberate movements as she placed it beside her plate, the smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I should have known then, but grief does strange things to your instincts. It makes you want to believe that people are good, that family means something, that the world hasn't turned as cold as the empty space in your bed. It was Christmas Eve, David's birthday. He would have been 63. The dining room smelled like cinnamon and pine. I'd spent all morning cooking his favorite dishes, even though he wasn't here to eat them. The turkey, the candied yams, the cranberry sauce he always said was too tart but ate anyway. Emily had helped me set the table with my grandmother's china, the delicate blue pattern that caught the light from the chandelier. The same chandelier David and I had hung together 25 years ago, him on the ladder, me holding the instructions upside down, both of us laughing. I wasn't laughing anymore. My daughter Emily arrived first, still in her scrubs from her shift at the hospital. She hugged me for a long time in the doorway, not saying anything, just holding on. She understood. At 25, she'd lost her father, but I'd lost my husband. Different kinds of grief, both unbearable. "How are you holding up, Mom?" she asked finally, pulling back to study my face. "I'm fine," I lied. The same lie I'd been telling for 3 months, since the phone call from the hospital, since the police officer at my door explaining that a semi-truck had run a red light, since the funeral where I'd stood dry-eyed because the tears wouldn't come. Not then. Not with everyone watching. "You don't have to be fine," Emily said softly. "Not today." But I did. Because Marcus was coming with Brittany and the kids, and I needed to be the strong mother, the capable grandmother, the woman who could survive losing the love of her life and still serve Christmas dinner with steady hands. They arrived at 6, right on time. Brittany never liked to be late. She swept through the door in a cloud of expensive perfume, her blonde hair perfect, her designer dress perfectly pressed. Marcus followed behind her, carrying their 2 children, 3-year-old Noah and 18-month-old Sophie, my grandchildren. I hadn't seen them in weeks. "Linda!" Brittany kissed the air beside my cheek. She'd stopped calling me Mom 6 months ago, around the time David got sick. I'd noticed but hadn't said anything. "The house looks beautiful. You've really outdone yourself." There was something in her tone. A assessment. Like she was appraising the crown molding, the hardwood floors, the way the evening light came through the bay windows. This house, my Victorian that David and I had bought when Marcus was 5, that we'd renovated together, room by room, year by year. This house that held every memory I had left. "Thanks for having us, Mom," Marcus said, hugging me. His embrace was brief, distracted. He looked tired. "I know this must be hard." "It's Christmas," I said simply. "We're family." Brittany was already in the living room, her eyes moving over the furniture, the paintings, the bookshelves. "You know, Linda, this place is really too big for one person. Have you thought about downsizing? There are some lovely condos in town. Much more manageable." Emily shot me a look from where she was setting out appetizers. Warning? Sympathy? I couldn't tell. "I like it here," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "This is my home." Of course, Brittany said quickly. Too quickly. "I just meant, for your own comfort. All these stairs, all this space to maintain. You should be thinking about yourself now." We sat down to dinner. I'd placed David's chair at the head of the table, empty, a candle burning beside it. Emily sat on my right, Marcus and Brittany across from us, the kids in high chairs at the end. For a moment, it felt almost normal. Almost. "This looks amazing, Mom," Marcus said, serving himself turkey. "Just like Dad always made it." "Your father didn't make the turkey," I corrected gently. "I did, every year, for 36 years. "Oh. Right." He looked embarrassed. Brittany reached for the wine, filling her glass generously. "It's important to have new traditions, too, to move forward. Linda, have you thought about what you'll do next? Travel? Maybe? Take up a hobby?" "I have hobbies," I said. "I taught middle school English for 33 years. I'm reading through the classics I never had time for. I'm volunteering at the library." "That's sweet," Brittany said. And something in the word sweet made my spine straighten. "But don't you want something more?" A fresh start? Emily set down her fork with a sharp clink. Mom is doing exactly what she wants to do. In her own home, on her own timeline. I'm just trying to help, Brittany said, her voice sugary. As family, we should support each other. Speaking of which, she glanced at Marcus. Some unspoken communication passed between them. He nodded, reluctant. Brittany reached down beside her chair and pulled out a leather folder. She placed it on the table between the candied yams and the green bean casserole. The movement was careful, practiced. I'm so sorry, she said, her hand fluttering over the folder. I wasn't going to bring this up tonight. It slipped my mind that I'd left these in my bag. But since they're here, Emily leaned forward. What is that? Documents, Brittany said. Her manicured nails drummed on the leather. About the house. Linda, I think you should know. David and Marcus discussed this before the accident. David wanted to make sure Marcus's family was taken care of, that we had stability. The room went cold. Or maybe it was just me. What are you talking about? My voice sounded far away. Marcus cleared his throat. Mom, Dad and I talked about this last spring, before the accident. He was worried about me, about making sure the kids had a good home to grow up in. Brittany and we've been in that apartment for 5 years. It's too small. The kids need a yard. So you want to buy a house, I said slowly. That's wonderful. I can help with the down payment if… No, Mom. Marcus wouldn't meet my eyes. Dad wanted to help. He wanted us to have this house. The words didn't make sense. I looked at Emily. She looked as confused as I felt. This house, I repeated. My house. David knew you'd be okay, Brittany said, her voice gentle, understanding, the voice she probably used with difficult clients. You have your teacher's pension, you're healthy, you can easily afford a nice apartment. But Marcus and I, with 2 kids and 1 income while I build my real estate business. David wanted to make sure his son was secure. He wouldn't do that, Emily said flatly. Dad would never… He did, Marcus interrupted. We talked about it, multiple times. He said Mom would understand, that she'd want what's best for her grandchildren. Brittany slid the folder across the table toward me. It's all here. The property transfer documents. David signed them in April, 3 months before the accident. He was very clear about his intentions. My hands were shaking as I opened the folder. Legal papers, dense with text. Property deed, transfer of ownership. David's signature at the bottom, bold and familiar. Dated April 15th. I don't understand, I whispered. It's simple, Brittany explained, leaning forward. The house was in David's name from before you were married. When you got married, California community property laws would normally mean you both owned it. But this document shows David transferred it to a trust for Marcus before he died. It's legal. It's binding. That's not how it works, Emily said, her voice rising. You can't just transfer marital property without both spouses. The house wasn't marital property, Brittany cut in smoothly. David inherited it from his parents in 1985, 2 years before he married Linda. It was always his separate property. He had every right to do what he wanted with it. I stared at the signature. It looked like David's handwriting. The bold D, the way the V and I connected. But David would never. He wouldn't leave me homeless. We'd made plans. We talked about growing old here, about grandchildren playing in this backyard, about one day, far in the future, downsizing together. Where's the notary seal? Emily demanded, grabbing the papers. This needs to be witnessed. Notarized. Page 3, Brittany said calmly. Emily flipped through. I watched her face fall. Mom, I know this is a lot to take in, Marcus said, and he sounded genuinely sorry. That's why we wanted to tell you in person. You don't have to move out right away. Take your time. A few months, even. We're not trying to kick you out. How generous, Emily said icily. We want to make this easy for everyone, Brittany continued. We could even convert the downstairs guest room for you, Linda. You could stay here with us. Help with the kids. It would be like one big family. The guest room. The smallest room in the house. The room I used for storage, for David's old books, for the boxes of Christmas decorations. She wanted me to live there. In my own house. As a guest. I need to see my lawyer, I heard myself say. Brittany's expression flickered. Just for a moment. Then the smile was back. Of course. You should definitely do that. Rachel Holloway. Right? I think I saw her name on some old documents in David's files. Feel free to call her. She'll confirm everything. Rachel. My throat tightened. Brittany had done her homework. In fact, Brittany continued, checking her phone, we should probably get going soon anyway. The kids need to get to bed. It's getting late. It's 7 o'clock, Emily said. On Christmas Eve. Well, Brittany stood, smoothing her dress. This has been lovely, but I think we've said what needed to be said. Marcus, honey, can you get Sophie's diaper bag? They were leaving. They were actually leaving. They'd dropped this bomb, and now they were walking away. Wait, I said. Everyone looked at me. Stay, please. It's Christmas. The kids barely touched their food. I made pie. I sounded desperate. I was desperate, because if they left now, if they walked out that door, it meant this was real. That my son believed his father had given away my home without telling me. I really think, Brittany began. Please, I said again. Just for dessert. Give me that. Marcus looked torn. He glanced at Brittany, then at me. Mom. The doorbell rang. We all froze. Nobody moved. Emily stood up slowly. Are you expecting someone? I shook my head. But even as I did, something clicked into place. I'd made a phone call yesterday. A quiet call, after Marcus had mentioned they were bringing important papers to discuss. A call to my old friend from college. My old friend, who'd gone to law school. My old friend, who now specialized in estate law and property transfers. I'll get it, Emily said, moving toward the door. I heard voices in the hallway. Then footsteps. Then Rachel Chen walked into my dining room, her dark hair pulled back, wearing jeans and a Christmas sweater, carrying a bottle of wine and a plate of cookies. Linda, she said warmly, coming to hug me. I'm so sorry I'm late. Traffic was terrible. I hope it's okay that I crashed your dinner. I was in the neighborhood, and I remembered you mentioning you were hosting, and I just... She trailed off, looking around at the tense faces. Did I come at a bad time? Rachel, I said, my voice steady now. No. Perfect timing. Everyone. This is Rachel Chen. We went to UC Berkeley together. She's an old friend. And a lawyer, Brittany said slowly, her eyes narrowing. Estate law. Actually, Rachel said cheerfully, setting down her wine and cookies. But tonight I'm just a friend. Linda, you didn't tell me you'd have such a full house. Hello, you must be Marcus. Your mom has told me so much about you. And you must be Brittany. I think we may have crossed paths at the county recorder's office. I'm with Chen and Associates. Brittany's jaw tightened. I don't think... Oh, I'm sure, Rachel said, pulling out a chair and sitting down like she belonged here, because she did belong here. I'd asked her to come. I file a lot of property transfers. It's a small world in real estate law. Linda, this turkey smells amazing. May I? Please, I said. Let me make you a plate. As I stood to serve Rachel, I caught Emily's eye. She understood. I could see it in the slight smile at the corner of her mouth. My daughter knew exactly what I'd done. We ate dessert. Or rather, Rachel and Emily and I ate dessert. Marcus pushed pie around his plate. Brittany didn't touch hers. The kids were getting fussy. Brittany kept checking her phone. So, Rachel said conversationally, sipping coffee, what were you all discussing when I arrived? The energy in here is thick enough to cut. Nothing important, Brittany said quickly. Property transfer documents, Emily said at the same time. Oh! Rachel's face lit up. How interesting. I love property law. It's like a puzzle. Every document tells a story. What kind of transfer? Brittany stood abruptly. This is really not inappropriate. A house transfer, I said quietly, watching Rachel's face. According to these documents, my husband transferred our home to my son before he died. I only found out tonight. Rachel's expression shifted. The friendly casualness dropped away. The lawyer emerged. Tonight? You found out about a property transfer 3 months after your husband's death? Tonight? The documents are right there, Brittany said tightly, pointing at the folder. Rachel reached for it. May I? I don't think, may I? Rachel repeated, and this time it wasn't a question. I slid the folder across to her. Rachel opened it. Silence fell over the table. She read slowly, carefully, her finger tracing lines of text. 2 minutes passed. 3. I could hear the clock ticking in the kitchen. Finally, Rachel looked up. Her face was neutral, professional, but I'd known her for 40 years. I could see the anger beneath the calm. Who prepared these documents? She asked. David's lawyer, Brittany said. Obviously. And that lawyer's name? I don't remember offhand. It's in the files. Because I'm looking at this notary seal, Rachel said, her voice very quiet, and it's from Nevada, Las Vegas, specifically. Dated April 15th. That's a Tuesday. She looked at Marcus. Was your father in Las Vegas on April 15th? Marcus frowned. No. He was. We had a doctor's appointment that day. In Oakland. For his back. I drove him because Mom was at a conference. You're sure about that date? Positive. It was tax day. We joked about it. Rachel nodded slowly. She turned a page. And this signature, David Harper. Marcus, I need you to look at this very carefully. Does this look exactly like your father's signature? Marcus leaned forward. I watched his face. Watched the certainty start to crack. It looks like it, he said. But there was doubt creeping in. Look at the capital H, Rachel said, pointing. See how the vertical line is perfectly straight? Your father had arthritis in his hands, didn't he, Linda? I nodded, unable to speak. His handwriting would have had a slight tremor, especially by April. Spring was when it was worst. But this signature? It's too clean, too perfect. She pulled out her phone. I'm going to call the notary office listed here. Right now. On Christmas Eve. Want to know what I think they'll say? Brittany's face had gone white. You can't just... Rachel was already dialing. She put the phone on speaker. It rang 4 times before a voicemail picked up. You've reached Silver State Notary Services. We're closed for the holidays. Please leave a message. Closed, Rachel said. Let me try something else. She pulled up a website on her phone. A few taps. Silver State Notary Services, established 2023, June 2023. She looked up. These documents are dated April 2023, 2 months before this notary company even existed. The room went very, very quiet. Marcus turned slowly to look at his wife. Brittany, there must be a mistake, she said, but her voice was shaking. Maybe they changed their name. Maybe, and there's this, Rachel continued relentlessly. California Family Code Section 1102. It states very clearly that neither spouse can transfer real property without the written consent of the other spouse. Even if this house was David's separate property before marriage, which I doubt, after 36 years of marriage and improvements made during marriage, it's almost certainly community property now. This document, even if it were real, would be void without Linda's signature. David told me. Marcus started. David told you what? Rachel interrupted, her voice sharp now. That he was giving away the home he shared with his wife? The home where he raised his children? Without even telling her? Does that sound like the man you knew? Marcus's face crumbled. No, he whispered. No, it doesn't. Brittany. Rachel's eyes were steel. Did you create these documents? I want a lawyer, Brittany said immediately. You are a real estate agent, Rachel said. You have access to blank property forms. You know how to use editing software. You could easily forge a signature and create a fake notary seal. She paused. How much do you want to bet that if we check the IP address on the computer used to create these PDFs, it'll trace back to you? I don't have to listen to this, Brittany said, standing. Marcus, get the kids. We're leaving. Sit down, Marcus said. His voice was cold. I'd never heard him sound like that. Sit down, and explain to me what you did. Marcus, don't be ridiculous. She's trying to trick you. Your mother probably put her up to this. I called Rachel yesterday, I said, after you told me you were bringing papers, because something felt wrong, because your father loved me, and he would never do this. You manipulated me, Marcus said to Brittany, realization dawning on his face. All those conversations about Dad wanting us to have the house, you made that up. You made all of it up. We need a bigger house. Brittany's composure finally cracked. We're cramped in that apartment. Your mother is living in this huge place all by herself. It's not fair. We have children. You need to leave, Emily said, standing. Right now, Marcus. Brittany turned to him. Desperate now. Tell them we deserve this. Your father would have wanted. My father is dead, Marcus said, and his voice broke. My father is dead, and you used that. You used my grief to try to steal from my mother. He stood up, went to me, and pulled me into a hug. I felt him shaking. Or maybe that was me. Mom, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I believed her. I'm so sorry I put you through this. I held my son and cried. Finally cried. The tears I hadn't been able to cry at the funeral, the tears I'd been holding back for 3 months, they came all at once. Brittany grabbed her purse. Fine. This isn't over. I'll get my own lawyer. You'll be hearing from the district attorney, Rachel said calmly. Forgery of legal documents is a felony in California. So is attempted fraud. And since this involves real property, we're talking about grand theft. That's 3 to 5 years in prison. Brittany looked at Marcus. Are you going to let them do this to me? I'm your wife. The mother of your children. Marcus's face was hard. Get out of my mother's house. She left. Just like that. Grabbed her coat and walked out the door, leaving the kids behind. We heard her car start. Heard the tires squeal as she pulled away. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Sophie started crying. Marcus went to her automatically, picking her up, rocking her. Noah climbed into my lap. Gamma, he said. Cookie? I laughed. It came out half sob, half laugh. Yes, sweetheart, Gamma has cookies. We moved to the living room. Emily brought out the Christmas presents I'd wrapped. Rachel helped Marcus settle the kids. We turned on the tree lights. Soft music played from my old radio, the one David had bought 30 years ago and refused to replace because it still works fine. Around midnight, Marcus put the kids to bed in what used to be his old room. When he came back downstairs, he sat beside me on the couch. I should have known, he said. I should have questioned it. But she was so convincing. She showed me Dad's calendar, his notes. She made it all seem so real. She's good at what she does, Rachel said from the armchair. Sociopaths usually are. I don't know what to do, Marcus admitted. The kids need their mother. But I can't. After this, I can't. One step at a time, I said, taking his hand. First, you stay here tonight. Tomorrow is Christmas. We'll have breakfast, open presents. Then, we'll figure out the rest. I think she might need psychiatric help, Emily said quietly. Normal people don't do this. Normal people don't forge legal documents to steal their mother-in-law's house. I'll file the police report on Monday, Rachel said. In the meantime, Linda, I recommend changing your locks tomorrow. I know a good locksmith who'll come out on Christmas, and we need to file a restraining order first thing Tuesday morning. What about the kids? Marcus asked. If she goes to prison, that's a bridge we'll cross later, I said. Right now, they need their father, and their father needs his family. We stayed up late, talking quietly while the kids slept upstairs. Rachel told us about the red flags in the documents, how obvious the forgery was once you knew what to look for. Emily made hot chocolate. Marcus found one of David's old photo albums, and we looked through pictures, remembering better times. Around 2 a.m, Rachel stood to leave. I walked her to the door. Thank you, I said. I don't know what would have happened if... You would have figured it out, Rachel said, hugging me. You're the smartest person I know, Linda Harper. You just needed someone to confirm what your gut was already telling you. I'm glad I called you. Me too. She paused at the door. David loved you very much. Everyone who knew you both could see it. Don't let anyone ever make you doubt that. After she left, I stood in my hallway, in my house, looking at the pictures on the wall. David and me on our wedding day, Marcus as a baby, Emily's college graduation, 36 years of memories, all of it still mine. Emily found me there. Mom? You okay? I'm okay, I said. And this time, it wasn't a lie. Marcus stayed with us through New Year's. The kids filled the house with noise and chaos. Marcus filed for divorce on December 27th. Brittany tried to contest it, tried to claim Marcus abandoned her, but the evidence of her fraud made that impossible. By February, the divorce was finalized. Marcus got full custody. Brittany got supervised visitation and a criminal record. She'd eventually plead guilty to attempted fraud and forgery, receiving 3 years probation and community service. Her real estate license was revoked. Marcus and the kids moved into the apartment above my garage. It had been David's workshop, but we converted it into a small 2-bedroom suite. Marcus wanted to be close, wanted the kids to have their grandmother, wanted to make amends. Though I told him there was nothing to make amends for. He'd been manipulated by someone he trusted. That wasn't his fault. But he stayed anyway. And slowly, the house filled with life again. Noah's toys scattered across the living room floor. Sophie's high chair at the table. Marcus's coffee mug in the morning. Emily, visiting for Sunday dinners. On what would have been David's birthday in May, we planted a tree in the backyard. A Japanese maple, his favorite. The kids helped dig the hole. Marcus read a poem. Emily played David's favorite song on her phone. I stood there, my family around me, in my home, on my land, and I felt David there too. Not gone, never gone, just elsewhere. Watching over us. Proud of us for standing together. Proud of me for standing up. Gamma. Noah tugged my sleeve. Why sad? Not sad. Honey, I said, picking him up. Happy. Happy we're all together. Happy, he repeated, and kissed my cheek. Happy. In my home. With my family. With my memories and my future and my dignity intact. Brittany had tried to take it all. But she'd forgotten one crucial thing. I wasn't some weak, grieving widow to be manipulated. I was Linda Harper. Teacher. Mother. Grandmother. Fighter. And this was my house.